Hi, sorry,
Okay, so this month I want to take on this very interesting topic. I have titled it Creative Correspondence. This is just different things that we use for correspondence that we can make creatively. Now, interestingly, not many people are corresponding, so this the corresponding itself is going to become an exercise. But I'm just hoping this year's, maybe by Diwali or something, you can create enough stuff that you can share it, just send it out, even put it in the post box of a neighbor, and that would also be nice. Just a note thanking them or giving them something or the other, it'll be fun. And of course, we have an envelope exchange group, which if you join, then you get into this is like a express way of mail going one way or another. I wouldn't be surprised if we are single-handedly holding up the economy of the Indian Postal Service. The amount of mail that these ladies have been sending to each other is not funny. So, yeah, it's great to be a part of that group. So if you want to, and again, it's up to you, your pace, the available time that you have, whatever you can send. There's no compulsion like school. It is super fun. But when you start doing something like that and you want some ideas, you don't know where to begin. So I want to start off with a few things that we can do during this month, which will start, maybe give you some basic ideas on which you can expand. So today we are going to do something called letter cards. Again, this is something, a term that only I've coined because I have, if you search for letter cards anywhere, you might not get this. These are cards which can be folded a certain way. Instead of folding it in half, you just fold it into maybe a third and a small flap over it so that you can write a note in it, make put an address in the back of it, and give it to somebody even by hand. These letters are very nice because they can be sealed, but they're not like for private correspondence, but they're not an open note, or you could say this is a note and an envelope put together so you can save paper. And in itself, it's quite a charming little card. I had received a card like that when I was maybe 11 or 12 years old from a French pen friend, and I've been fascinated with having these kinds of letter cards. So we're going to try making a couple of those today. And then in the next week we will do different kinds of envelopes which are also painted on. Then I want to do painting of stamps. These are just stickers which you will make that resemble stamps. They are not viable stamps. You can't use these stamps for postage, but they just look very cute on any artwork. Sometimes you can put it in your journal, sometimes you can put it on letters, anything. And then the last week, though we have 5 weeks this month, you guys will have an extra class. The fourth class is going to be envelope addressing. This is again a separate thing from making the envelope. Envelope addressing does require understanding of spacing and flourishing and things like that. So I'm hoping that we can do a little bit of lettering in that class. This will be the fourth class. So, in terms of craft versus art, there is about 20% craft and 80% art. Last month was all craft, and I'm sure there were a few people who might have been very miffed about that fact. That's not my usual. I do more art and less craft. But I find that if you have some craft that you can apply your art on, you have more things you can do to practice your art. That is the only reason why I have some of these application based classes. But this month it's not going to be too much. This is again application, but we will focus more on the art more than last month, definitely. So, what we're going to need for class today is just an A4 size sheet that you have cut in half. So, we need two A5 sheets or thereabouts. We can use a thicker card also this time, but we can use our 130 GSM definitely. And we will use our regular paints. If you have maybe color pencils that can be used, or maybe even some markers or something. But as we go on, I will tell you what all you can pull up. Even if you just have your watercolors, that should be fine. So what I'm hoping to do is make two letter cards with this, because we have to paint the front and the back. While we are painting the front of one, we are going to paint the front of the second one. Sorry, as we wait for the front of one to dry, we will paint the front of the second one and then move to the back of the first and then the back of the second. As usual, my plan is so ambitious. I have no idea whether I'm going to be able to complete it with you, but just so that you guys are not impatient and start painting when the paint is wet, I will keep a separate project to keep you distracted from the first one. That's the goal. All right. So let's start off. Now we have to fold this paper, but you don't fold it right now. I want to do it in two different ways. We are going to fold the paper at one point somewhere over here so that it folds to somewhere over here. Do not fold it right now. I don't want you to fold it. I just want to explain to you how the end product is going to be folded. That will help you to compose your design on the paper. So we are going to fold somewhere over here and here, and there's going to be a slimmer flap towards the bottom, and that our final card is going to be about this size. So we want to design something that either can be a header and a footer, which will be folded inside, and then on the other side where we will write the name or address of the person, we are going to make the illustration over here in the center. So if you think about it, we are painting on all three flaps, 1 and 2 on one side and the middle flap on the other side. That's how we're going to do it. So for the first picture, we are going to make a rose bush that will run mostly from the top and maybe on the right, and then create a composition that is somewhat like this. So I want you to see the rosebush pictures that I have sent.
Aditi, this is an A5 which you're showing us, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we want to make our rosebush look like this rosebush, which means that we are not going to go into the details of how the rose looks. Conveniently, this is a very blurred image of the rose bush. We basically get a color and we get a structure. And that's all we need, honestly. We don't need to know too much more than this. So we start off by making just the shapes of the roses, and instead of making them like circles or roses itself, just make them in almost like a form like this, a wobbly shape, somewhat like that. The wobble is nice, leave the wobble. And in some places, you will have a rounded shape like that, which will be the base of the rose, and the wobbly side will be the opening of the rose flower. Keeping an eye on the reference image, distribute your roses all over. Keep some of them close, some of them far. So our rose bush is going to look very filled up on one side, and not so much on the other. And on this side, you create a silhouette of the bush itself. So, silhouette is basically an outline. You don't draw each and every stem and leaf and branching, but you create an outline of how it might be, which is just making a few leaf like shapes around some of the flowers. So I'm going to show you how to do a, a very abstract-ish painting of these roses. We don't go into too many details, but your eye will be able to perceive all those details. So I am making these shapes of leaves around like I am seeing them in the reference image. Some leaves are flat like that, some leaves are rounded, and then in some places I also have stalks and stems to make it look more realistic. There are lots of overlapping leaves. So this is more or less how the structure looks. You don't bulk it up fully. I'm going to leave this for you to observe and take your time making this part. Okay, everyone done? Now for the next part, we're going to work with just two colors in two different consistencies. And for this, if you want to just test this out on a separate sheet of paper, that is also fine. I'm putting together scarlet and crimson. A little bit of scarlet on the side, and it's not too thick, you'll notice. So what I want to do is, in some of these places, I want you to see this. I'm just going to take a blob of this color, whatever I have got in my brush, and make some marks on the paper. They are not a flat mark. I am deliberately making the marks in the form of some dabs. And before the dabs dry fully, I will add a little bit of concentrated color this time. So it's not the same. The first thing that I put in was a little light, very watery, well, not very, considerably watery. And the second part is going to be thick. So here is my watery paint and here is my thick paint. It's pretty dry and pretty dark. But see, my brush is very small. I'm not using a very big brush. So the amount of pigment is in my control. making small strokes for them to resemble the petals of the rose. Now, if you have put some paint and you feel that it's too wet, don't immediately put in the next color. Wait for that to dry off just a little bit. It won't take too long. You could paint two, three other flowers in the meantime. And then come back and put some dabs. We have big flowers and little flowers. These are so uniformly placed, but it's okay. So, what we're creating is just an illusion of roses, or not even roses, whatever flower. And in our head, because we've seen roses look like that, they will look like roses without really making roses. And do not overdo the painting. No more than 10 strokes per flower. Then wait, see how it's looking. If we want to, we can always come back and paint more, but don't do more than this. Now we can use the same color to paint a rose at the bottom over here. And again, this one, I'm going to show you how to paint this. We want to make some wobbly lines in the form of well, you could say a spiral-like form. So you start off with some wobbly lines interconnecting, and then from each of those edges, you draw another wobbly line to go towards the middle of the next line, like this. Go from above, and you can place your petals in the space between the joint of the previous petals, definitely not at the same spot. And after about 3 4 of these, you can expand the size. And I'm drawing this keeping the reference image in front of me. And just to make the rose look more rose-like, let us make a set of 3 wide leaves on one side, and on the other make a wobbly line coming up as a stem and going into a petal. So the petal can be drawn like this. You start off making a, a compound curve with a very sharp turn, and then you draw a line from the inside which makes it a petal shape, And from somewhere over here, you can pull that down into the sepals. You can make a shape go all around to show the back of the rose bud, and basically just make these extra petal shapes to fill that in, and that should do it. And on the bottom again we can have more leaves. Now we have drawn one flower in detail, and the flowers on top there's absolutely no detail. So somewhere we need to balance the illustration. I'm going to get rid of this stalk. It is going to look horrible. We don't need a stalk there. I'm just keeping it floating. Somewhat like that is fine. Oh, no, it's still not working. No. Sorry about this. Something is really off here. Maybe this will work. Yeah, I've just turned it to the side a little bit. That straight line was just not working. Okay, now to paint this, we use the same technique really. So take a little bit of that watery color and just apply very loosely across the flower. So it's the same technique with more definition over here. And this time round you can come in with the darker colors in some sections in the between the petals and right in the center also. For the bud we make light colors towards the open end and drop in the deeper colors towards the bottom, dodging around where we want to put the sepals and the stalk. So our detailed flowers should not look too radically different from the rose bush that we have made on the header. It just doesn't look nice. And the layout is such that you can start writing your letter here, make it go all the way like this, and then end over here where we normally write our name. Okay, is everyone with me? Now I think the top has dried. So we will make a color mix of raw umber. That's this color here. We rarely use this. Raw umber with sap green. So it's going to look like a light green, but not lemon light. It's just going to look a slight yellowish green color. Now, keeping the rose bush graphic in front of you, this is what we are going to do. We are going to paint the leaves in three different layers to create the effect of depth. So I'm going to make one bunch of leaves like this. I'm going to fill up a certain area in the middle as well, but just making leaf shapes in random directions. So imagine a stalk over here and just make some leaves. They will all merge within each other, and you won't be able to tell which leaf is what, but you will fill up the space. This space later on, we are going to add a darker shade of green and then a darker shade of black or brown or both to give depth. Okay, so this current color is only to create volume. You can keep adding or changing or making more color. So every section could have a different shade, which adds to the illusion. When you see a bush that's spread over a certain area, in all likelihood, there are going to be uh, different areas of the bush which are going to be illuminated by the light source. So we can't have one flat color all over. And a special note for people who keep painting in the same area, don't do that. Make one stroke, see if it looks more or less like a leaf. Make another stroke over there to make it look more like a leaf if you feel the need to. And keep the overall shape of the strokes and the implied size of the leaves more or less uh, the same throughout. And I don't mean the same for all the leaves, but if you have a big leaf and two small leaf structure, that proportion ideally, if you can keep it uniform-ish across the bush, that will look fine. Now there's a gap over here, and I'm wondering whether I want to fill the gap with leaves or maybe a stalk later on. So I'm leaving that for later. I'm not sure yet, so I don't want to decide in a rush. And we'll use the same color to paint the leaves for the detailed flower as well. This has become too green. Now, I want you to not paint the leaves too strictly in their leaf shape. Some edges may be a little boxy, some may go outside. You know, this messy painting might happen. And for this style, it's really good. So there's a loose painting style which was common during the Victorian age, where people were just about making colors and using delicate brushes to paint little things. Like you might have seen the illustrations of Beatrix Potter. I'm going to show you a few. So the illustrations were meant to be just a little diversion from your letters. And let me just show you this one. Something like this. There isn't so much detail in it, but there's just more or less the shapes that are covered, and a little bit of paint here and there is put to give it some joy. That's about it. So, what I'm trying to do is create something similar, which is fairly loose, not spending too much time on detailing, just giving you an impression of what it's supposed to be. So, if you notice, my leaves are really just blobs of green, they're not really as detailed as I know I can make them. Now, in the next part, if you are done with this, the next part, we start doing a little bit of detailing, which means that some of the leaves start getting either a shadow or more leaves underneath them. So you don't paint, not all of them, you don't paint over all the leaves that we've painted, but see, if this is the section, I'm going to add some leaves underneath there. And now in this blob, I'm going to make an overlap and maybe give a silhouette to some, and definitely a few underneath the flowers itself. Now don't make them like this, like alternating leaves. They can all be little blobs underneath the leaves that you have made right now, so that with now this thing is called negative painting. With this we can lift up the shades of the the color of the roses themselves. The color is still the same, raw umber with sap green, but this time I am making it denser. And say in this space I could make a leaf underneath this. Similar structure though. Don't make them too refined. And they are like little leaves behind the light colored leaves, the ones that are covered, overlapped by the light colored leaves. That's all. And some of them can also be dark parts of some of the leaves, like you could maybe put some lines of stalks, veins, something like that. So this part is painted with a thinner brush, and the paint is not too wet. You won't get too many wet patches in this. And you can use the same green to now draw the stem. Now I want you to see how this stem is drawn. I think a lot of times many of you are making lines over and over in the same place, which makes the stalk look so thick and very unattractive. So here's how I do it. Not everything needs a stalk. We have these three stalks or stems. So make the stalk go down, lift your pen or brush, sorry, and connect it with that same kind of wobbly line. Now don't go over this again. Let it come the way it comes. If you make it go over, if you did not get it right the first time, the second time round you're never going to get it. So let it be the way it is the first time round. It will look less bad than if you try to fix it. Okay. Now once this is done, here comes the fun part. Now I'm going to make a really deep shade using black and ultramarine blue. We could also add a little bit of sap green to this on the side, just because you'll understand why. Now I'm taking this color, either the black and ultramarine blue alone or with the sap green. They are really next to each other. I don't know if you can notice it on your screens. The black and ultramarine is here, and the same color mixed with a little bit of sap green is to my right. Here now I am going to fill in the blank spaces with this color and be very precise in this filling. Now this part is totally optional. You don't have to do it, but in my opinion, this really makes everything stand out so well, so beautifully. And this is where you can shape your leaves to a certain extent, give an outline to the flowers, but only in this part, the middle section, not the outside. We're not really creating an outline for the artwork. That tends to look really tacky for something like this. Now this is pure black, and I'm adding that pure black in some sections while the paint is still wet. Now, as you proceed, you can take a call where or how much black you want to put. There's so much space over here. This space may not need the black, but if you want to, you can always go back to your green, fill out some more, give this rose some more leaves, maybe this rose, and then in the space in between, after the leaves dry, you can add the black. You can also add it underneath some leaf structures, some roses themselves. To make it look pretty. Oh, I love this. This looks so nice. Very charming. Now, in the reference image, there is a very beautiful brick wall in the background. And I have found that a lot of students get very excited and say, oh, I wish I had made that. Chalo, let me make the brick wall. Wrong decision. Do not make the brick wall after you have made the roses. You can make another one with the brick wall. That'll be fine. In which first you will paint the backdrop, give the brick wall at least some detailing, and then go ahead and paint the roses on top of it. Do not make any backdrops, even if it's plain color, as an afterthought. Okay, how's everyone doing with this? Do you need a minute? All right, let's move on then. So now we are going to change the technique a little bit for the detailed rows at the bottom. Here we have a lot of details, so we are not going to make things as vague as this, but we cannot move away from the color scheme too much. This is my major peeve with a lot of people, a lot of artists that I see on Instagram, that you have a beautiful pink rose over here, and here you will go and make it yellow. Why? Because there just seems to be some need that one color is not enough, we need more. You can have a different color, but unless that is adding to the picture, it will only distract. So here now we want to do this same treatment of dark and detailing on the rows, on the big rows, where again that detailing becomes significant. So a little bit of brush manipulation will help. Along each line towards the outer end, you can just add a little bit of a shade like that. So look at what I'm doing. Don't look at your work, because I once I finish this, I won't be able to remake it. My paint is not too thick, mind you. It's not very dense. Okay, I don't know if I've done this with your batch. I want to show you the difference, how to test whether your color is the right, the pigment is the right amount and consistency. So if I have pigment like this where I am moving my brush on the palette and I do not see the palette easily, this is thick paint. This is, let's say, zero level paint, where you have adequate water and color to make a nice wet line on paper to get exactly this shade on the paper. Now, if you want it lighter, obviously we'll add more water. But if you keep adding water to it, it starts becoming too watery. I cannot use this to make detailing. This will just give me a big blob. So there is too much water in this, enough pigment in this, and often when you do detailing, I've seen that you might be tempted to take this pigment and make detailing. So what you're going to get is a really big fat dark line, which may not really do well to create this kind of a soft focus effect. So here's what you do. You tilt your palette a little bit so that all the water goes to the bottom, and then you pick up this paint. It's from the same mix that you made. You added water to concentrated pigment, but you're getting too much water. Get rid of that and just take this part. And over time, maybe the next 10 minutes, this water is going to reduce. So you will be left with the right amount of pigment at the right consistency of water, so that you can pick that up and do this. Now, what is this? This is when you put your brush down and press it so that you get an undulating line. Now see, my brush is perpendicular to the line I'm drawing, versus if you take, I'm taking that big blob of paint and you paint it parallel to the line. This is what we think we should normally do. And what we get is a big fat line along the edge. But what we want to do is less pigment, hold the brush almost perpendicular and get a shape like that. The second line is what you want, where you can get a thicker line by holding the brush at a perpendicular. I'm going to show you one more time, so please see this again. I have a pencil line drawn here. I'm going to place my brush almost perpendicular and move it along the outside of the line. So I get this lovely shading. So what is happening is that the section that is closest to the tip of my brush gets maximum color, because that is where the paint is the thickest and most concentrated. And anything that is that comes in contact with the middle of my brush does not get that much and not such a defined line. So I get this beautiful effect of a shadow without really putting in too much of detailed work. And that's it. I don't have to do it to every petal. Here again on the inside. And you can just work your logic. Where will the shadow fall? It's going to fall in the section that is being overlapped. And in some cases, right in the middle of the rose because there's a shadow there. Okay, does this help? Now, when it comes to the leaves and the sepals and petals, we can use the same technique for that as well. And in some places, this is what you can do. Just give, here we may not be able to make extra leaves. So, whatever leaves we have, you can add some depth to them on one side. Maybe loosely make some shapes like these so they will look like the section between the veins. You can also paint the leaves from underneath the rose to make it look like there's a shadow there. And after all this is done, if you feel like it, you can give this a nice shadow as well. And because we're using this gray on top, we can use a light gray like this, a very watery gray, maybe even mixed with blue. So a little distance away from your stems for sure, and a little distance away from the leaves and petals, you can make a gray line on any one or two sides. So left and bottom is my usual go-to. It's a very subtle line. It may not even be visible. But just remember that to make the stem, make the line a little away. A shadow of the stem, I mean. Oh, I think I should do a special class on drawing shadows also. It's super fun. How cute is that? I love it. Ah, who needs friends? I could just sit and do this forever and ever. The things that I would be willing to cut away if I didn't need them for survival: food, sleep, exercise. I don't mind. Okay, how's everyone's first
Doing,
letter?
doing okay here. The bottom rows is not to my liking, but okay, I'll learn again. Um,
Wait, let me just see it closer. No, it's cute.
the bottom one is not humongous. It should have been smaller, but
No,
kind of spread out too much.
I know. I think it's a little too inside.
Yes.
But you could draw a couple of leaves over there, and that would
Hmm.
fix it. But it's not wrong or bad at all.
No,
Humongous is
no,
also
that's
fine.
true. But the top ones are okay. Um, yeah.
Okay, let's see.
It's a very pretty thing to draw, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
So
got
that's
the
cute.
cute.
colors wrong because I think I have the different wrong palette.
Oh, is it? Let me check. Very cute. How cute is that? Very nice. I love that abstractness. Really makes it look nice. No, but this is sweet. This is sweet also. A little jhadak, but it's sweet.
Yeah, I didn't know, but it's okay. I think I'll just buy the Camlin palette so then I can stick with the correct colors.
But have you sent me your palette? Because I could have chosen
No,
some other
I
colors for
think
you to
not a
mix with.
disturbance in the midst of your meditation.
No, 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 no disturbance at all. You can just put it on the message or something, and I could have given you a color combination. Anyway, do it now so that I can suggest to you what colors you can mix together to get something that looks closer to us. It shouldn't be too difficult. All right, so this was one, and now we have to make the back, but we have to let this dry completely. So I don't want you to fold it. If you all were all here, I would have checked it for everyone, but I don't want you to do any of that right now. So we'll just leave this and we'll move on to the next one. So in the next one, I want to make a scene, a scenery that will look pastoral, and I've always loved like a European pastoral painting, but for our class, I thought let's do something Indian. So I've chosen a couple of scenes which we could do. And this time round, maybe we can start from the outside first. So I'll show you the fold so we know exactly where we are going to be folding the paper, and then from there we can draw the outside, and then the inside you can take over yourself. So in case we run out of time, we can finish the outside of the second one, and using similar principles you can make the outside of the first one yourselves. Okay. All right, now for this, if you have maybe a cutter and a scale, that will help, because I just want to show you how to make a proper crease before you fold paper. Now, whenever you fold any paper, if it is a little too thick, you get a very horrible wrinkling that happens on the paper. To avoid that, you can always score the paper in such a manner that it bends the fibers, and you can then because of that crease you can then fold the paper without any damage. So that just requires a little bit of measurement. Just make sure that you are marking or folding from the same place on both sides, because you don't know where the straight edge is unless I ask you to get a T-square and everything, and I don't want to do all of that. So let's just measure out our paper. This will also tell you or help you to fold the paper in a particular manner. So my paper is about 8.25 inch long. So if I were to fold it at 3 inches and 6 inches, that would give me about a 2-inch flap on the side, which I'm happy with. So I'll mark a point at 3 and at 6 on one side, and similarly at 3 and 6 on the other side. Whenever you do this, the danger is that our lines are not going to be straight, and even if they're not straight by a millimeter, they can create a problem. Now, just so you know,
Aditi, can you help, please? I've got a centimeter wala scale. You know
yes,
that roller one?
yes,
Please.
yes. So
The
in
math is awful.
never mind. So I was just about to explain this. If we fold it at 3 inches, which would be about 7.5 inches centimeters for you, Elaine. And if we fold it at 6 inches, the 6 inches will not have enough room for the flap, possibly. Because when one paper folds on the other paper, and if it's the exact same measurement, the second crease should be at least a few millimeters away. So it would be better to mark at 6.1. So in your case, Elaine, that would be 15.5. So by one, again, let me show you. If you've got an inches scale which is divided into 16 parts. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So where I'm marking is after this is 6 inches, and then you have 1 and 2. So it's actually 1/8 of an inch away. Too much math. Too much math. Sorry, 6 inches and 1/8. Now, once we've got these markings, without drawing a line, you can just take the back of a cutter or the back of a scissor also. I'll show you with both to make that crease. So just check that your scissor is not too sharp, because a single blade of the scissor is also meant to cut. So you can just open it up, check that.
Aditi, I'm really sorry. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt, but I just need to leave. My
Okay.
daughter's fallen in school or something, so they've asked me to pick her up. So I have to just go.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But she's okay. She's not crying, so I don't think it's major.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Okay. Okay, so gently, without pressing too much, just score the paper. So you will see this scored line here. You can do the same thing with the back of a cutter as well. So not the sharp end, but the blunt end. Hopefully that is not cut like mine. And you do not have to press it, mind you. Do not press it. Our paper fibers are fairly delicate, so you should get a nice crease line. And now you fold on the other side. So you do not fold on the side that you have made the crease. You fold on the opposite side. And because we left that 1/8 of an inch space, this will fold and lie flat. And of course, something like that is going to happen because either the paper was not cut at right angles or our measurement is off by just a millimeter or so. That's okay. But at least you have nice creases, not ugly creases. And you can very well make the creases beforehand, make your illustration, and then fold the paper.
Aditi, how much is the less flap, I mean the narrower flap in width?
Whatever remains, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Done. Okay.
And it can be any amount. You can make this into 8 by 16.5 also. Then you'll get a much narrower flap. It won't matter much. Now, here are the different options. We have one option where you can fold this flap, put a sticker on this. This is your name and address, and send this out as an envelope. Or you can fold it the other way around, where even the narrow flap goes inside, and you can have the name of the person on the long flap. This will be the top flap, or have a design over here and name of the person here, address over here, or your address here. There are lots of options when it comes to what information you want to put where. Okay, so for right now, we are going to make an illustration in the center section. And the orientation is important here. So you need to decide whether you want the tall flap on the top or you want the short flap on the top. It's up to you. You could easily have a letter open like this, where this part is our design and this is the short flap, like this. Okay, or it could be the long flap where you have it closed like this. Completely up to you. So if you make the design like this by mistake, on the opposite side, again, honestly, even if you make it right side up this way and right side up this way, who cares? Don't worry too much about it. Just that there are at least 6 different options for you to orient your design. Okay, now here we have 2 illustrations that I wanted to share with you. And you can make any of these. You can make either this one, the nice little hut, or you can make the cycle, or you can make both. So if you want to make it in the back, we can make the hut on one side with some palms and a big tree, leaving enough room just above the fields. Like if we were to extend this further, we have a horizon line with all these green trees and a sky in which we would write the name of the person and make the entire border with green. That's the plan that I have. So let's start off first with making a border like that. From all sides, you can draw 4 lines, but don't join them at the corner in straight edges. If you draw them a little away from the corner, you can turn the edge and make it rounded. That instantly looks vintage, like this. Now we would like to write the name of the person somewhere here. So our house has to be on the left. Let's keep it small, don't make it too big. So give yourself a baseline, but that baseline will be made with vertical lines like this. Never draw the base of a house, especially if it is going to be in the wilderness like that. Anywhere, in fact, never draw a horizontal line as a base unless there is a pavement, and even then that pavement is usually wobbly.
When you're keeping the paper, the broader one will be on top or the smaller?
Oh, as it happens, I have kept the smaller one on top, but you can keep it either way.
Mhm.
Then you decide on the front of the hut. So the front is like this. You have 2 lines, and then a little from the right side, I have a 3rd line. So my roof is like this. Now notice how I'm not really touching any of these lines because I want to leave them a little loosey-goosey like the roses we painted. This is not going to be an illustration that is too precise. It's a very nice loose watercolor illustration. I'm drawing some of this hyacinth with some wobbly lines over here in the foreground and some grasses. I'm not going to draw the palm tree over here. I'm going to draw it on the right like this. Then we have a nice horizon line showing some paddy fields and a silhouette of the dense palm forest in the background. On the left hand side, we can draw this huge tree again with some wobbly lines. And draw clumps of leaves with more wobbly lines like that. Remember, we need to leave enough room to write the name of the person. I'm not very happy with the palm tree. I can let go of it, I think. Yeah, I'm just gonna let go. I think the lines of the palm are going to disturb this composition if it's so much in the foreground. I'd rather leave it like this. Okay, everyone, ready to paint? We have 20 minutes to paint this.
Aditi, I've sent you a photo. Will you tell me the colors?
Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm going to tell you the color for the sky. Then the color for the hut is going to be, first it's going to be this one. That is one. Sorry, you can't see any of this, I'm aware. I'm just going to share this picture with you in a bit. Okay, I'm giving you the first basic shades. I've shared it on the group only.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, this should be a lot easier now for you. I didn't realize you were struggling so much.
Can I also ask a basic question?
Yeah.
How do I take some, I have to take some of the paint from the palette into my, on the side, right?
Yes, like this.
Just a dash.
I'll show you. I'll show you. This is quite a fundamental question, huh? So
Sorry.
I'm not. Uh, I mean, you could have asked this before also. This is not something that is known. So I grab a little bit of paint from the cake and put it on my palette.
The
And
palette is already wet, Aditi, from
no,
before.
I wiped it right now. There was another blue color, but that had
Paintbrush is fully wet when
paint
you're.
is fully wet. Yes. And also the cakes can be hydrated using a spray bottle. So
Ah,
the tops of the cakes are required to be wet so that they are active.
acha,
And
acha.
then before, so when you shut them, they start drying and they just remain inactive then. Okay, now here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna paint the sky in a light blue shade. That's the sky color that I've given you, Palak. And then we are going to move into the green and the yellow one after the other. So the green is going to be the same green that we used here. The yellow is going to be this same green mixed with a little bit of uh, lemon yellow or gamboge. So I want you to observe this when I'm making it. Although I'm making the sky, which is on the right hand side, I'm taking a lot of water and I'm also painting the sky into the area which is the tree, really. And often the sky is not one flat blue, so add some water in between so that you get maybe a sense of clouds. And as this recedes in the background, which is those trees, the blueness of the sky can also become less intense. And you paint through the horizon line. See, all of this gets painted because you do not want any gaps in between. Now I can take this green, add a little bit of lemon yellow. This green was the same green we used before. This will give me a nice paddy feel. Some of this can come here. And come all the way to the bottom. Now, the whole point of doing these watercolor changes is to add more dynamism to your painting. You don't want it to look too staid. That is the purpose. So if you make many colors, it just tends to look more interesting. And somewhere over here, we can add a little bit of blue again, but in these with these lines so that we can make it look like water, a waterway over here. So much of this is painted pretty much like how we did the earlier one. It's not very specific. This is supposed to just be a fun illustration. So some colors merging into the other, some wet on wet. Let things happen the way they're happening. Maybe instead of your paddy field, it becomes a wheat field. Who cares? It's fine.
You didn't put any blue near the hut, right?
Just that
On the
little bit of the light blue I spread on top of the hut, but no, not on the hut per
okay,
se.
okay.
But if you have put it, it's not a bad thing at all. Now for the hut, I'm using a light red mixed with this scarlet mix, or even an orange is fine. So again, the application has to be a touch and go application. We are not really painting the wall of the hut. So you if you see yourself painting like this, like actual wall painting, you're doing something wrong. Press the paint brush a little bit and let there be some I would say some dynamism in your painting. Now while the hut is drying, we will paint the tree. And now you will know how to paint this tree. So, excuse me, you can use the same green or add a little bit of lemon yellow if you want to. And make bold strokes like we did for the rose bush. And this time we're covering more area also. So just flop your brush around. Sometimes a tip, sometimes the whole brush. Let it dance. The less uniform your color sits, the better it'll look. And in the case of trees, there will be some extra leaves that you will paint, which you don't see attached to the leaf. That is often a very nice way to show density of leaf and canopy without having to bulk up your painting with too many lines explaining that this leaf is attached to a stalk which is attached to it. You don't need that. You don't see that, and it still shows you the bulk you need. I think I'm gonna add one more branch to the tree. It's leaving a little gap there, otherwise it doesn't look nice. Right, now any odd brown trunk shape is fine. I'm using a combination of raw umber and burnt sienna with a thin brush this time to create the trunk. And the lines of the trunk don't always sit horizontally aligned. So remember, when we are painting these things, we don't paint only one color at a time. Depending upon what effect we want, you can add multiple colors within the same area. Like I added a little bit of black here. Now all of these need a little bit of a shadow, so you can put that same black onto the trunk as well. And like we did with the roses, some parts of the canopy also becomes a little dark. And this time you can use a green and burnt umber as an option. You can also use blue here or black mixed with the green that we had made. So I'm adding depth by adding shadows towards the bottom of the tree. Some places you make them like leaves, and some places you just add some strokes that look like leaves, but not a pattern. Don't keep it like a pattern. You will have it dense in a few places and then no shadows in a few places. Then again, there will be some shadows, only shadows in a few places. And all of these things become nicer if you become friends with your brushes. Your brushes are there to do a whole lot of this stuff. You don't have to do it. Now for the roof, we will make lines like these, mimicking the structure of the roof. They're just short and long lines in the yellow ochre mix, whichever yellow ochre mixing any other slightly brownish shade, so that you can get some color variation. Is everyone with me, or am I racing ahead and I'm leaving you behind, huffing and puffing?
We're with you.
Okay, great, great. Good. Now, on the horizon, we have these trees. So, we are going to make a bunch of these trees in a color that has a little bit of blue in it, just a little bit of deep blue. So I have something like this, an ultramarine bluish color, just a little bit of that added to the green of the trees. And literally I'm making a horizon line sideways, because that's the best way I can hold the brush. And then making shapes that resemble something like trees from the horizon line up, just silhouette of canopies. And there too, some places you can make it seem as if they are palm trees, some places rain trees, and so on. Each kind of forest also, I think, has its own silhouette. And of course, towards the bottom, just give it a little more color in a few places so that it looks like the shadows between the trees. Everywhere you will notice the illustration starts looking more realistic the moment you put shadows in it. Okay. Now let's come to our building. Let's take a burnt umber shade, or let's take a blue. Forget burnt umber. Let's take a cobalt blue shade. This is cobalt blue for me. And it's not a very thick shade. I'm going to use that to give a shadow to my hut on the left side of the building. And I'm dodging around a few things over here. I've completely omitted that whole bamboo structure around it. And I'll use the same, maybe slightly deeper shade to make a shadow underneath the roof, and some of that will also come on top of the house. On this side and this side, with a few lines coming in to show the nature of the thatch. Now we can leave it like this, or we can give it a door by making just the shadow of the door. An inverted L shape, and you can make a window just by drawing some horizontal lines within a box. That's good enough. And you can stop at even this. So to finish this up, we can make a nice yellow ochre line, an outline to the whole picture. This is the same line that we made right in the beginning. Just formalize it. It doesn't have to be straight, it doesn't have to be attractive. It will just seal in the whole picture. So this can be it. You don't have to do anything more than this if you don't feel like it. But you can go ahead and make much more. Like you can make the reflection of the house like that if you want to. You can add more elements if you want to. And we have done some sessions on how to draw reflections, but we will be doing that again in the next year. So till then, you can just keep it simple.
Aditi, one class, can you help us with faces?
Of course, yes. I'll start the next year with faces now because there's it every year we have something with faces. This year, maybe we've already finished it. Let me just check. All right, so this is how our pictures are looking. This is the inside, this is the outside. So this one I can fold it in. Now, if I want to fold it inward, I will have to make the creases on this side. And then I can make more roses on the outside. There's no reason why you can't make the roses in the section between the joints also, so that once you fold it, it looks like the vine is on all four sides. And one more thing I wanted to show you is the sealing. So when you are sealing these pictures up, instead of doing one boring Fevicol, you make stickers of these things also. And stickers does not mean print them commercially. These are stickers that I had made on during all my lockdown sessions. This is just a painted flower which is cut around the edges. This, I have a circular cutter, so this was the original painting. I made in a circle and I cut it out. So all these look really nice when you are sealing your pictures, your letters. And if nothing else, even something as simple as this is fine.
These are beautiful on black, huh? But that yellow one was wonderful. It has a lovely shadow.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really pretty.
Yeah, they're all so nice that I've never sent them to anyone, as you can see. In fact, I made stickers out of them. I got them printed and then I cut them out individually and then I used to put them. And now even they are so good, I don't feel like giving them away. But this is again something that you can do as time passes. I mean, look at this bougainvillea. It's so cute, just this little thing.
That's minute. All the little veins on it and all. And that fig.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I made these similar things in the kids class yesterday. A more easy version.
You know, I love that landscape with the little bridge and all.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, so I'll
That is the sweetest. You must teach us that one too. It's the sweetest.
I watched
Look at it.
the video now. I'll share the video.
Yeah. But it's so
Because
simple and lovely.
yeah, it's just so
It's that illustration of a storybook like Beatrice
yes.
Potter, like that.
And this was the back. And what I propose is that you can make a little sticker of the same style and paste your letter like this. So it does not have to be just random pasted stuff. Oh, I wish we were still living in this age where we could be doing this and sending it out and receiving this. I think more than sending it, more than receiving, I'm just enjoying the idea of sending it out.
Yeah. Here's my little, what do you call it? There's a lot of noise